Right. Welcome all. Thank you all for being here. Yeah, please be seated. Yes, of course. We have many languages. Yes. Me in English, she in Universal Sign Language. Really cool. I really appreciate that we have this at this camp, and really nice. I like it. Okay. Today, the title says Community Engagement Pushing the Contribution Funnel. That's what we're going to talk about. A little bit about me. My name is Floris van Geel. And on IRC you can find me as Zelfje, same on the Slack. And my company is 040 Lab, so I use Twitter 040 Lab. I consider myself a Drupal entrepreneur, which means that about 60% of my time I solve the problems of my clients, and the other 40% of my time I invest in product development. The slides, you don't need to take. If you want to take pictures, take picture of this one, because that's the URL where they are, and they will be updated whenever I pull from the Git with the slides. Okay. So today, this session, we're going to tell about a problem we have. We should have solved 10 years ago. An initiative which follows from there that I fully support, and I also want to see lots and lots of you helping out on there as well. Then make a little jump to marketing automation without getting things too technical. How to integrate that with our favorite CMS, Drupal. And in the end, a closure and the conclusion on top of this. So the problem, each year that we are at a Drupal event, this is a quote from Jana Koala from Finland. We sit in a room and we talk and we say we need to engage more people, and every year that we do that, we all got 1 year older. So in general, our population is getting older of our community, which is an issue. It should be getting younger over time. And we should change that. If we don't, we have a serious issue maybe in 10 years or 20 years. In DrupalCon Nashville, Dries announced the official Drupal marketing initiative. And a lot of companies combined resources and funded to have a marketing person in Boston, which is great, because that person can guide and help out and sorry. Okay, let's go to this one. That person is Rebecca Pitcher. She's the director of marketing and communications, and the central point within the Drupal Association to help us help Drupal become famous again, or bigger, or better. It consists, this idea, of 3 phases. The first one is to focus on Drupal's brand and strategic messages, and to connect with new decision makers and new influencers. So, simple to say, engage new clients to use Drupal. Collaboratively, it facilitate and provide marketing materials, coordinate with PR campaigns, and then create a marketing out-of-the-box initiative, which is already in progress and really good. And with the Splash Awards that we saw yesterday, it leads to every company filling in big forms, writing down a lot of text, which leads to another showcase portfolio that we can place on Drupal.org, meaning that we have more and more templates and more use cases, and a very good engagement for new clients to choose for Drupal. And the fundraiser will only support the first 2 phases. It's a good start. So, at Drupal Europe, who here went to Drupal Europe? It's about half the people. We had a roundtable discussion with the European community leaders. It was announced on the official blog, and we all got there, and we were really excited to see what was going to happen. So what we did, we were expecting to talk about European governance, at least I was, but we were focusing on this problem and to solve this problem, which was really important. So we made a sheet with all kinds of yellow papers, and after that voted on top of it, and from there it came to our notice what is the importance. So to have a marketing starter kit for all of us to utilize within the field, it was the most important one. Then the second most important one is to have actual marketing professionals within. I'm part of the Dutch Drupal community board, and we have one person that we pay for, and that person actually does all the follow-ups, does all the text writing, does all the marketing engagement, and lead with is the lead for how you do this, how you get the right text at the right place, have the press releases, and so on. In Germany, they have actually 2, and it would be really great if more and more local European associations would also have these marketing professionals, so they can collaborate internationally. That could make it even bigger and better. Crowdsourcing slide decks, that's something which is also in progress. There is already one available that is finished by Peter Johnson and his team. And for the rest, the ideas were just ideas. Nothing happened with that. I'm not sure if we need to do that, but from here it's up to us as a community to choose and to bring this initiative further and to make Drupal bigger and better. So on Drupal.org you can find the Promote Drupal initiative, which has texts with explanations, and that leads to a Drupal.org project where you can join up. The marketing pitching deck is available. It's been compiled in Google, and for the process in doing that, it has been done in Trello boards. Luckily, it is finished and can be within the issues found and downloaded and used. It would be really great to look at that, download it, use it for your own client engagement, acquisition purposes, improve on it, and reshare it again with your peers. So, marketing, what is it? It's not that fancy. It's just communication. So you tell others who you are and what you do. For example, I'm Floris and I like to cook because I like good food, I like to eat. It has not so much to do with sales per se. In a normal acquisition funnel, people, for example, a web shop, people are unknown, they visit a website, then from there they become a prospect, so something is known about the person, which leads to being a lead, and then we have an opportunity for the person to decide to buy a product, and in the end the funnel succeeded and the customer is created. With Drupal we have about the same. So if we go to the next one, we see, if I go back and forth, we see that only 4 texts change. So first, when a person lands on Drupal.org, it's an unknown visitor. Then we download the software and start playing and building with it, so-called old-school lead shop. After a while, the person creates a Drupal.org account and becomes a user. When following up at a meetup or within communication on Slack or Drupal chat or whatever, the person gets to be involved, maybe visits a camp, and in the end we achieve the goal that the person is a contributor and helps out to grow the software. In an example of the same webshop, if 10,000 people see and visit the site, 10% might be interested, and 10% of that, in this case 100, decide to maybe do something, and 10% of that, 10 people out of the 10,000 will act and buy the goods that are available on the website. In order to have a decent idea about who is who and who is new, we need to have a technical infrastructure in place. And there is, since the Drupal Europe, there is a sandbox from Drupal.org where OAuth 2 and OpenID Connect are integrated. OAuth 2 is just for authentication, so you know who has access to what. And OpenID Connect is for identification, thus knowing what kinds of fields do you want to share. For example, if I go to a camp like Drupal Developer Days and I would love to have a t-shirt, I would like to have it in a slim fit in my size medium, I choose personally to share this information with that camp so I can have my lovely t-shirt. Sorry. Since DrupalCon Vienna, we started to integrate and build with Rocket Chat. Rocket Chat is a chat service which looks like Slack, but it's obviously much better. It doesn't eat your battery and it doesn't consume your memory resources and so on.
And it has history.
It has history and it's fully open source. It's built upon Meteor, JavaScript, on a Mongo database, Nginx obviously for the web server, SSL, and if you want to play and build with it, it's easy to start a Docker instance and do whatever you want. Very important is also that we can have bots that integrate and interweave actions and reactions, so cause and effect. For example, what would this mean if we could do this? If you are on the Drupal Commerce module page and you have a question for how do I integrate, how do I make my payment or whatever, you could go in the bottom right corner and start chatting and be directly linked to the channel within the chat and have community support. This kind of engagement would change on how people not get frustrated, get to the point, get to the information that they want, and actually start contributing, keep on enjoying the software, and don't change to something else. After that, you completed your, it's anonymous, chat, and you have your answers, and you simply fill in, or not, it's not mandatory, your email address, and that leads to a nice JSON that can easily be adopted into a CRM. So these kind of processes, they need to be tweaked. Currently we have pages that people can read, they can type comments, and it's not like this funnel from anonymous visitor to a contributor. It's hard. People get stuck, go back and forth, either, or just leave. Which leads to another open source software that we found out in also in Drupal Europe Darmstadt. And personally, I invited the inventor, maker of this software, as well as the CEO of RocketChat. And together with Dries, they were talking about these kinds of opportunities. Since Drupal is de facto a content management system. It's very good in having a structured content. It's very well at having proper access and regulations of what you're about to do and what you're allowed to do. And it should mainly focus on doing that. Mautic, on the other hand, is a marketing engagement platform. And it's also PHP, so very accessible to the same developers as doing Drupal. And there is a integration plugin for Drupal to be able to talk with Mautic. And there we have it. It's just drupal.org/project Mautic. And with that you are able to have in your website forms that when people fill them in with call to actions, they automatically get to be synchronized in the marketing automation system, which can also couple to whatever you want, Salesforce or email campaigns, and so on and so on and so on. For CRM, it's a little bit more difficult and complicated. If we look at Drupal.org landscape, there is a lot of very cool projects which are all Drupal 7. And in general, the open source software that you can find, as well as most of the paid software that you can find, is either overcomplicated or really, really expensive. Looking at that and how to adapt to a good CRM system by means of open source, there were two options. Either Suite CRM, which is a fork of Sugar CRM, since Sugar CRM went to be a paid version, or CVCRM, which is actually Drupal with a second database that does the CRM. It's used by the Drupal Association. Though this is not the new technology that our developers want and that we want for the close future. It's Drupal 7, this CVCRM. We were talking about that at Drupal Camp Panomina with our friends from UPAL, and thought, okay, why not make a very simple decoupled CRM in Drupal? Okay, that happened. So, Amoeba CRM was born. Amoeba is like a little one single cell, simple animal that contains biological data. Amoeba CRM is a set of two types of entities. So we have simply a company and a contact, and it can import from standard workflow that people use. For example, Excel. Most of the people still use Excel. It can also import from Salesforce as well as Sugar CRM. And due to that, it has a modular basis. People can write plugins for it to integrate with many other CRM platforms. The idea is to have these things interwoven. So when people visit the Drupal site and they go for a call to action, they get marketing engagement with Mautic, and in the end the contacts end up within Amoeba CRM. It can be used separately from whatever website you use. So it can also collaborate with a WordPress or with a Joomla or with a Sitecore or any other CMS system. Before, it was difficult to integrate between CRM and Mautic, but since we made it into Drupal and there's already a Drupal module for integrating into Mautic, it will go really nice. The only thing that is currently being built by the Ninja coders in Romania is the part where there is automatic pushing of data from Mautic to the Drupal CRM. Looking at all kinds of different, I stole this from Gartner. It's an interactive map, like the tube in London, where you have all kinds of different marketing strategic combinations, and it's a huge buzzword bingo. How these things collide and cross, and if you go over it and hover over it, then it will have pop-ups with extra information that you can link to. That's a real broad landscape of all kinds of opportunities, of integrations, and all kinds of different opportunities to get to more and broader levels of gaining more people. Though we didn't go for that yet. We went really 2 steps back. Let's first go focus on what Drupal is good at, being a CMS. Add one component to it, Mautic, and connect everything with chat and bots, so you have a continuous integration workflow. Thus, I invented a new stack. In computer land, they talk about stacks. For example, combinations of software. The one that I added here is the MDMA stack. So you have Matomo, which is for same goes as Google Analytics. So you know who flows where, who clicks where, who visits which page. And then Drupal with OpenID Connect and OAuth to be the authentication part. Then Mautic for the marketing automation. And at the end, Amoeba CRM to store your data. Marketing people are really people. Us as technicians, we have to interact with them and teach them how to use and work with issues. found out what is important for them. What are their key point identifiers, KPIs, and make the technology that we have as easy as possible and as accessible as possible. So not what I did in the past is, okay, we want marketing, okay, I'll deploy a Google API key and I'm done. Walk away. Working together with this brings valuable insights and helps to grow it. And the cool idea is also for next Drupal Developer Days in Cluj-Napoca. It's a real pretty city, and the great thing about Romania is that it's inexpensive. And Drupal Developer Days by default is for committing code. And we see that in Europe, the amount of code committed is the most in general. And if we then look at events, Drupal Developer Days is the per se place where people come together, build on the CMS. However, this year I would love to see many other people that not necessarily commit code, but want to help out with documentation, with everything which extends upon our ecosystem. Specifically on this marketing challenge, it would be great to, when you go home as developers, convince your boss to also join Drupal Developer Days in Cluj. Same for the people from the marketing department, so that together we can work there and sprint on having more and more marketing for Drupal.
Yes.
So to sum up, there is some links that you can follow up. These slides are at the bottom link. You can find the projects back again and contribute on that. At the registration there is a little sheet with an offline link which goes to the sheet in Google where people sign up for Drupal Developer Days for a specific sprint. So you can also go there and add initiatives and add ideas and collaboratively build on to make it better. Any questions? Yes.
Have you tried any of these tools already on a live project or for a client, or have you implemented them from client perspective already, or?
Almost. What I did is these tools, I installed them on my local machine. I looked at the technical integrations between them, which are at this point 99% solid. And the next step is indeed to learn more on the whole marketing process and deploy that, yes. So it's for me also to experience a little bit more knowledge and then do it right the first time instead of...
Cool.
Yeah. Another question? I saw here.
Okay, maybe. So I saw the flyer for the developer days, and it says on the flyer that it's a developer-centric event. This was the first time that I heard that there's marketers should participate. Did I understand that correctly? And what would be what would marketers do there then? Work on contributing with documentation or something like that? That was just a little bit unclear.
Yes, that is indeed the next challenge. We should create another page on the Cluj Drupal Developer Days website, maybe even with a different brand, so that it is clear that it's not just committing code. It is also for really getting together and building new initiatives with new ideas which extend upon the slide deck that we currently have. In the round table in Drupal Europe, there were also ideas to have a physical kit with printed materials and flyers and all kinds of other things, as well as videos, and there's many opportunities. I'm not going to fill those in. However, it would be really, really great to build upon and broaden our horizon within this ecosystem.
Can I just...
Yes.
Okay. So just to complete his answer. So we organized Drupal Dev Day last year in Portugal. It was great. We had 404 people there, and not only developers. So yeah, maybe the name is wrong, because we started by being a development-focused community. Now we're completely not only on development. The main thing on Drupal Developer Days is contribution.
Yeah.
So you can contribute to Drupal. It's on Drupal.org. You can contribute to Drupal in several other ways, and marketing is, of course, one of them. You can contribute in documentation. There are sprints for documentation. We actually have a spreadsheet that's online. You can just go there and initiate your initiative, and then people will sign up for your initiative. Last year we had 120 people contributing from the 404. Well, those are the ones that signed up. I don't know if there were more, but those were the ones that put their name there. And it actually is a big push. It's always a big push to Drupal, and in any initiative. I can give you an example. In Zagreb, we had a huge problem because Drupal Week 8 was getting delayed. So, and the blocking stone was testing. There were several people that rounded up. We started to make, back then was Drupal Sky, that 1 year later we actually gave what's running now, and it's the testing system running with Docker and so on. That's actually testing Drupal every day. So there are a couple of, this is just an example of removing blockers from the way.
Yeah.
Of course, marketing is now a blocker. So as I said, if people can just go there and do their initiative on marketing, that's perfect. Because that's the way to put everybody in the same place.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what Drupal Dev Days.
And we actually, with this question, we actually showcase how big this blogger is, since it's not known.
Yeah.
And typing a little bit of text on the website wouldn't make it much more known. So I'm also looking for opportunities to solve this challenge in getting more and more people engaged in Drupal Developer Days to contribute on marketing.
I think your idea for an additional landing page specific to marketers and the types of activities, and not just documentation, but maybe a feedback round on your pitch deck, or some other things. I think that sounds like something really useful, so that they could understand what they could get out of it, more than just documentation. Because it's not, well, just for me, that's not super exciting.
No.
But contributing.
It's a necessity for
the assets.
Yes.
Like for thinking about the pitch deck and the assets, and getting into whether that's telling a good story or not. That's really exciting as a marketer to participate in, for example.
Yeah, thanks. Any other questions, remarks, tips to help out, or no?
I just have this gut feeling, and I'm trying to wrap the right words around it, but Drupal Dev Days is one of our community's most successful events, with super high rates of code contribution done, and we put it together a few years ago because DrupalCon was really diluted, because it's hard to do enough contribution at local events, and part of its success is because it's really, really super specialized, and there's sort of question space floating in my mind is like, okay, now let's add marketers to it, and now let's add whatever to it, and are we replacing DrupalCon? Is the association letting us down? It's been really successful because it's been so focused, and I'm worried about diluting it.
Okay, I can imagine that. However, it would also help us as people, because you don't have this. Well, you don't have it. You will reduce the separation that the technical people are sprinting and the marketing people are talking. If we, us, all together keep on talking and engage with each other, it will bring more understanding between both worlds, as well as a better success for the result of the software, as well as the marketing results. So I don't see this as a competition for the DrupalCon.
Yeah.
It is a separate event which is indeed successful, and due to the necessity of the challenge at hand, we should have done the marketing for Drupal 10 years ago, but we didn't.
But it sounds like we need to maybe call it Drupal Contribution Days and promote it as a contribution event where we go and, you know, define blockers and important issues ahead of time and form groups to solve them, and not just a developer event, right? If that feels like the priority now.
I'll go for that.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the same way as for Drupal Europe, we chose to lose the word sprint and only talk with contributions as a word, just to have extra options to include non-code committing contributions. And it's very important to get away from the scariness that we're all people, and the more join up, the merrier, and the more different initiatives there are with different fields of expertise, the better and the greater the results are.
This is kind of what I wanted to say as well. People think that to contribute, you need to know a lot or need to know all of the things, which is not true at all. You need all of the help you can get, even if you don't know everything, even if you feel like you're a weak coder or whatever. It doesn't matter. There's so much you could do to help. So this is like you said, it doesn't need a specific expertise to contribute.
That is true, but it also takes a lot of resource to manage and to help those people. It's not magic. Just them coming into the room as a load of people who don't know things isn't enough. There needs to be the other people who are going to mentor them and organise the work that they do. Mm-hmm. And that it's a lot of effort to do.
For sure, but like somebody that knows their way around Drupal.org, for example, already can help some people navigate that are new to the community, right?
Yeah.
So this is exactly what we need to figure out ways to better manage everything, and we can leave.
Yes, and then on top of that, even do continuous integration and continuous follow-up. Since with the mentoring system, it's a really great system. It has at its start a very good spirit, very lovely initiative, and it leads to fast results. People find their way, they get really happy from it. However, after a while, if mentor and mentee don't follow up for each other, it slowly dilutes and slowly gets to be a sleeping state. That's one of the giveaways we had 2 days ago. I was talking with Balaj, and that's something that it's not stressed enough, that this follow-up and keep on the spirit alive and engagement should be continuous. So we have continuous integration of people within our community. Any other questions, remarks, tips, ideas? The ones so far really, really helped to get this further. So thank you for that. Thanks.